Hey, welcome to the Namra podcast. I'm your host, Justin, with my co-host, Russ Mangson, and we have our guest today, who is Chris Acevedo. He is a DP and photographer based out of Boston. Chris, welcome to HQ, brother.
Honestly, thanks for having me.
Good to have you.
This is awesome, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, man. We've just pretty much perfected our podcast setup over the last few days, so it's good to actually get in here and start using it for ourselves instead of just clients.
Yep,
Nice.
so
Sounds
excited.
good.
Seems to look great. We got some monitors here we're looking at, and it's exciting. Namra podcast studio. Let's go.
It's come a long way,
do it.
dude.
Yeah.
It's come a long way, because I was just talking to you, looking at the pictures on the Google My Business. It's all
from
old.
when we first got here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're just updating it now, and it's like
This
it
whole
looks a lot
area,
different.
This was a blank slate, just old building. Like,
Yep.
I mean, yeah, we put some work into it, but now it's looking real nice. I love the backdrop.
Yeah,
It looks
I'm
great.
loving it.
yeah, it's clean, dude.
Yeah.
it's
It's
clean.
very clean.
Nice, dude. Nice.
But yeah, thanks for coming out, man. Definitely, it's great to meet you. Any friend of Justin's a friend of ours, so appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Pumped to learn more about what you do.
Excited.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I think last time we actually saw each other, we were doing a wedding, like 6 or 8 months ago or something like that.
It feels like a year ago now, which
Yeah.
is crazy. But yeah, it's been some time.
Yeah. And so I think around that time you were actually taking the dive into full-time freelance. Is that right?
Yeah, because I've been freelancing part-time for the last 4 years. And then, I just bit the bullet and decided to go full-time freelance around September.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how's it been for you? What has it been like?
It's been a pretty smooth transition, to be quite honest. It used to be before, I used to be just scared. I'm like, what if I don't get clients? And I think eventually all the part-time work that I did basically helped me plant seeds for the future, which is now allowing me to fully freelance on my own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Good for you, man. Big jump. That's great.
That is a big jump.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So the majority of the work that you do is based in music videos and commercial videography work. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I work a lot with a lot of businesses in Boston, restaurants, breweries at times. But then when I get to, to film a music video, I like to really be creative with it. I'm not the best videographer in Boston at all, but I am very good at communicating with business owners to try to, film at a certain location. Like last year for the artist I've been working with, Skip, I filmed at a private airport, and that was just an idea I had. I'm like, there's no way it's going to happen. And that was a month planning, and it actually turned out pretty cool to be there. And that was probably one of my favorite shoots I've ever been to. But last night, literally, I filmed at a bowling alley called South Boston Candlepin. And that was kind of a last minute decision because I had 2 other options, but there was a lot of, I guess not issues, but just things happened that it just didn't end up working out. But for this music video in particular, it's like a strictly 1980s vibe. So the first half is at a 1950s diner. The second half is at this bowling alley. And it was just a fun, creative process to plan it and then film it and then shoot it and execute it. So I'm excited to edit it.
Nice. So would you say that you like doing those more creative shoots better than say like a corporate professional type shoot?
Sometimes, yeah, only because I don't know, maybe to be more
Creative.
Yeah, more creative, with certain types of content, like restaurant stuff.
I think we can all agree that there's certain clients that just allow for more creativity, whether it's business clients that are just more flexible and more fun, or music videos versus doing corporate work. The music videos are naturally going to be more fun. True. Yeah, I don't do music videos personally. We don't really do that at Namra, but to all of our friends do, you know what I mean? All of our shooter friends do. And I've been on sets at music videos, and man, is it the coolest. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And that's one of the best parts too. And what has your experience been as far as when you started out? Were you always doing music videos? Or is that something that you just kind of picked up at? Tell me about that.
It's funny. So when I first started, I think I was basically trying to learn the basics of, using a camera. The first camera I ever used was a Canon EOS M3. And then sometime after that, I got a Lumix G7. And throughout that time, I was learning how to plan a music video. I was learning basically all I did was music videos. And, sometimes clients don't always pay the right, amount. So I kind of took a break for a couple of years. I was working, and then I got a job at a college, was doing marketing. Sometimes felt dissatisfied. I was I'm just I feel stuck almost. So then throughout the what changed? The pandemic. I know everyone is talking about it. I hate talking about it, but that time I wasn't really working because I used to work in the hotel industry. But what changed was I really want to work with businesses. I didn't know how to. And then a year and a half later, so much has changed. Like right now, like shout out to Crazy Good Kitchen, one of my clients. I have 2 posters outside of Newberry Street, which is a hot spot in the city, and I would have never thought that was gonna happen. You know?
Absolutely.
So you weren't even thinking like a few years ago when you started shooting music videos, the pandemic hits, you weren't even thinking about starting doing your own thing yet. It was like when the pandemic happened, you were thinking, how do I work with businesses?
Yeah, it just hit me.
And then you were like, oh, I have this skill.
I think I just have so much love and, I just have so much enjoyment of like creating content.
Love it.
Yeah. I feel like that similar situation happened to me too. I did mostly weddings and did legal depositions throughout college. Yeah. And then pandemic hit. And then the Supreme Court closed and nobody was doing weddings, obviously, because COVID. And then I was left with like hardly any clients who were trying to do work because they couldn't. And then so that same thing with me. I had to really focus on finding something that wouldn't ever close, right? And especially during that time. And commercial work was great for that. Yeah. And then here we all are, right? Like, and then I met these guys and we all linked up and, we've been doing work partnering together for about a year.
Yeah, probably a little over a year.
Yeah, about March is when we all met last year. So.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Time flies.
We talk a lot about how the pandemic shifted everything for us, and like, because we've been in business, like, just so you know what we do too. It's like full social media management for businesses. So we do all their posting, graphic design. Like we fully manage Facebook, Instagram, Google, you name it, for businesses. And the whole strategy around it, content, branding, everything. You know what I mean? So like, where was I going with it? Oh, the pandemic. We talk a lot about how in the beginning we're offering those services, and we were trying to convince people a lot more 4 or 5 years ago, like, hey, you need to be creating content on a consistent basis. The higher quality, the better. Yep. And it was, people weren't ready to accept that as marketing yet. Like, you need to invest in video production. It's a real thing. It's probably the most important thing.
I agree.
And it wasn't until a year and a half, 2 years ago, the pandemic hit, everything went virtual. Yep. It was the shift that was already taking place in the world. And a lot of people started to see it like we did, but it wasn't until the pandemic hit that people were like, oh man,
it's like everything's the rest of the world realized, like, okay.
Yeah. And
this
then it was
is important.
Like, boom. So I think, it's great to see that you guys like have hopped on the same wave, and it's wild.
Yeah.
It's scary, but also exciting,
Absolutely. I mean, you give up a sense of like security almost, right? Because you don't really know, like you're not working a 9-to-5 salary. You don't have a paycheck coming in every month, but you don't have a limit on what you make. Exactly. And you have a lot more free time. You have a surplus of free time and all these other options, right? Yeah. And so like, you give up that little bit of security in the end, but it pays off in dividends, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, to lead into that too, I'm curious how you both felt starting off, because, I know a little bit about, we talk about this a lot, right? But as far as you, like, did you guys experience imposter syndrome when you first started? Obviously what imposter syndrome is, for people who don't know, is like when you start in something, right? And you take that dive in and you have all these other people around you who have been doing it for forever, it seems, and who are doing it much better than you. And they're calling themselves the same thing that you're calling yourself. And it's like, you feel like there's a little disconnect because you haven't been doing it as long, but you might be doing it better than that person, right? So how do you guys specifically kind of deal with that and move forward and keep creating?
I think like it used to bother me a lot more when I was like kind of starting off, even like when I first started. Obviously I feel like everyone has that one person they look up to that's like a videographer, director, and I'm like, oh man, like I want to be making content like that. Years go by and like you still don't feel like you're in that same position, but then when you look back at your journey, you're like, wow, like I have done a lot.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like in the very beginning, like talking day one, like first sales call we ever made for Namra, that was like when I was still in school. And it was definitely nerve wracking because like you said, everybody's calling themselves an expert. So it's like, I am going out there saying I'm a social media expert. Here's what we can do for your business. And we had 0 clients at one point. Everybody had their first client once. Yep. So in that position, it's definitely nerve wracking. But at the same time, we were doing what we just talked about, which is like kind of trying to hop on the trend. So we, as always, as we still are, we're very honest about what we can do. We weren't selling the videos back then that we sell now to businesses. We weren't doing massive productions and elaborate videos. Yeah. We literally, when we started, had no camera. Like it was, hey, like my cell phone's better than your cell phone and I know how to use it better because I'm a millennial, and we can actually make some really cool pictures, really cool videos for you, be consistent on social media. And we're sure that that's going to bring more business in than the really expensive overpriced stuff that like that big company was charging them for at the time.
Yeah.
So that was our like little competitive advantage, but it was, hard to call yourself an expert when you feel like you're just onto something and you're like trying it out. But at the same time, it was like the honesty about what we could produce never felt like I was overselling. Right. It was just like at that time, lower end services, but it was still providing a great value to the client. So everyone was happy.
100%.
I think it's just like that risk you got to take, and then also, marketing yourself. I think that's very big, that like not all videographers like have a fully understanding on. I think the more people I see on social media, like they're now kind of catching on.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some good tips that you would say like videographers who are just starting out should take advantage of and how to market themselves?
I think like currently like having a portfolio, like that's massive. I'm actually remaking mine right now. Because I have a vision for it and it's going to look great. I can't wait. Business cards, I think maybe 2 years ago, a couple of years ago, like, it's more important. I have business cards, but have you guys ever been into a situation where you guys like literally ran out?
Yeah, right now, currently no cards, new
never
logo.
been in that situation.
So I had like the best idea recently. So, on your Apple Watch, you could change your interface, right? So what I did was I created a QR code that leads to my portfolio.
That's smart.
And I'm like, this is such a game changer for me. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have my card, but here, scan this.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Goes right to your website?
Yeah.
Nice.
And they could contact me and everything.
That's slick.
It's so much better than business cards. I've never run out of business cards because I don't fucking hand them out.
I still am just like, honestly, like it's just marketing with Russ on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like that's a better business card than my contact information anyway.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And it's interactive.
Yeah.
You can DM me. You can click the
DM
button
me,
to text me.
Yeah.
Hop on a quick video chat. Like it's just easier to,
Yeah. 100%. Nice.
Do you get a lot of your business from like day one when you first started, before you were like full-time, just kind of freelancing? Like how did you get your first client? Where did it start for somebody who's like, they're working a 9 to 5 and they're going to like quit and make the jump, right? How do they start?
So I literally just outreached and like I had a plan for them. Like, here's what I want to do. Here's how I could do it. Here's the gear that I would use to film it. And I think because of, me basically breaking it down to them, the client, they took a chance on me. And I think what really helped me more than anything was getting testimonials. Testimonials are massive. So it's just come a long way because I wasn't always that organized when I first started. But now, like every client I work with, I'm like, hey, do you mind writing a testimonial?
Nice.
And then it just basically.
So you just cold called people basically in the beginning?
Yeah, I still sometimes do.
Yeah.
But lately, I get clients reaching out to me.
Love it.
Or they're like, oh, hey, I read your review on this video you did for Publico. Shout out to Publico too. It's another business.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I would definitely recommend, having that like client base, right? And I don't think you need a million clients. Like you should have a couple good clients that'll be like, okay, like, maybe they're retainer clients. Like that's huge. Like that's something that's game changing for videographers. If you can have somebody who's going to pay you regularly to do work, like that's a done deal. People who are just returning clients like are huge. Like you said, you got to keep care of those people. And, like you said, I don't think anybody goes on Google or goes to like any store, and if they have bad Google reviews, like they're going to go to it.
Yeah.
Same thing with a videographer or anybody for that matter.
That's true.
So reviews are huge. Absolutely. So you were talking a little bit earlier about, kind of the differences between the videography or the music video side of creating videos and then kind of like the more corporate professional side. And you said you really like the music video side. How do you kind of juggle creating something for somebody and maintaining that creative freedom, but also walking that line of like figuring out what the client wants and kind of needs really?
I basically just sit down with them and see like, hey, like, what do you envision this video to be like? And then I kind of just go off like what they want from me. And then I try to achieve that and film that. And then I always try to go above and beyond. I'm not the best like special effects editor like in any way. Like I don't really use After Effects that much. But I really do try to tell a story with like some of my content.
Yeah.
Because what we've found is expectations prior to the shoot are key, right? Yeah. So like you want to have all the best ideas in the world, and when you're brainstorming, it all sounds amazing. And then our job, what we've found over time, is to explain what the limitations are, explain how technically difficult this shot might be. And maybe this is going to take 2 hours. So we can't get everything that we're going to want, so like kind of figuring out a way to actually get the best result possible despite like the high aspirations.
Right.
It's a big part of the job. The communication with clients in that regard
I agree,
is super important.
Some ideas are too big. I'm like, I can't even make that. Like, I would have to hire someone to do that for me because
budget's a huge limitation.
Well, it's budget.
Too.
It's
at the end of the day,
I could do it if you had $1 million to make a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh yeah,
I can rent the cameras, rent the people, get the bodies, all that, but I can't. With a one-man band, like.
Right.
You're looking for you got a couple $100 budget. You're looking for like an iPhone video,
right?
Yeah,
and that goes into like the whole thing of like managing client expectations, right? And I was talking to you earlier about there's so many clients who they'll tell you what their goal is and they'll tell you what they want, and then you create something for them and that works them towards that goal. But they think a lot of the time that they know the solutions to it.
Yeah, I agree.
So they try to guide that creative process a little too much. And that's kind of like what I mean of like walking that fine line of like, okay, I'm going to listen to my client and give them what they want, but also making sure that I maintain my creative integrity. Yeah. So I think that's like the most difficult part.
It is pretty challenging. I totally agree with that. I think sometimes sometimes artists, I'm not naming anyone out. I feel like sometimes they should trust the DP like a bit more. Just because we know what we're doing, like we do this religiously almost,
It's another huge analogy Justin and I have been making is like comparing videos or like the marketing strategy that we build for people to a house. And it's like if you're hiring somebody to build a house, and a video is a very complicated process. It's not only shooting, it's like engineering and pre-planning and post-planning and everything along the way, troubleshooting throughout the editing process, post-production, all that stuff. It's like, it is comparable to something as complicated as a house or a renovation of some sort. Imagine if you hired somebody to redo your bathroom or to build your deck and you were just standing there next to them the whole time saying, I don't think you should do it that way. Yeah. I don't like that color. I think, this would be better.
You get a screwdriver thrown at you.
Man, I build decks. Yeah, I build decks all day long. I know how to build decks, and I know how to work with businesses to build decks. Yeah, and like I know what you're. Like that. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Saying like even in a nice way, saying that to clients has helped through the pre-production phase, where it's like, look, we're going to try to get as close to that amazing goal that you have. However, there are some limitations. There are some things that we can't do with your budget. Some things are just impossible, period. Right. So you just want to have that conversation up front and make sure they know, look, we're the experts and we're going to help make a product that's right for you.
Right.
But
one of my favorite ones I thought you were going to say is you don't go to the doctor with a hurt leg and you don't say, doctor, amputate my leg. It's like, I want you to ask me questions to get me towards my goal and ask me what my pain points are and get me to that goal. I'm not going to amputate your leg because you don't need your leg amputated. You need X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit more like gruesome, but.
Yeah, but it's true. It's like if you're going to go in there, like you don't go in and tell the doctor that you need surgery.
Right.
Like you tell them what's wrong and they tell you if you need surgery. And that's what we do. It's like, we're going to take your situation, your marketing goals, your music goals or whatever, the theme in mind, and we're going to make the best product given all those variables that are thrown at us. But yeah, I mean, they're not directors. We're the directors. Yeah, exactly. We have to be able to do our job. So having that relationship with clients is super important.
100%. Anything else about clients?
No. I love all of our clients.
Love them all. Thank you so much. You keep us in business and you keep us alive.
Clients are awesome.
Love you. So, to go off your other point, how you were talking about, if somebody wants the whole production, they can get it, right?
Yeah, they can.
And it's all about your budget. So, as far as working with other creatives, like what are some drawbacks that you found as far as working with other creatives?
I think it could be either very collaborative or almost like a competition. And it's sometimes tough. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes tough. Like here's the thing I've realized, like we wouldn't, like we both don't say anything, but there's some type of tension in the air at times. I don't know why. Like sometimes that director wants to take over what you're doing and vice versa. You know, I feel like it's sometimes it just doesn't work out that you're able to work with other people.
You talking like artists or
I'm saying like other videographers
on the shoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of egos sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't. And then, you know, like I see on these Facebook groups all the time, like people, I saw this one guy post, you know, he's an editor and he was like a junior editor or something. And he was complaining how the senior shooter always blows out his highlights. And he was like asking everybody for advice. He was like, oh, well, should I tell him? Should I do it? You know, like, should I break it to him and all that? And it's like, some people just have egos. Like if you tell somebody like that as a junior position, like some people just can't handle that. They can't handle critiques and just to think that like, hey, like there's a chance that I could be better. That's so toxic, man.
That is toxic. It's toxic environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's foolish, like business wise too, because the ego is the one thing that can prevent you from working with a team.
That's
and
also
a team
true.
is the only way that you can really put consistent, like you're saying, retainer clients, right? All of our clients with Namra are essentially retainer videography clients. So without a team that can communicate well, help each other get better, make the process smoother over time, we can't make a product that the client wants on a regular basis and keeps coming back for. So what good does it do to have an ego when really what matters is, can you work with a team? Can you insert yourself into a larger production and make things happen? That's like the mark of the best professional, I would say. Like, I mean, yeah, sure. If you want to be a solo videographer and you want to be your own shooter and editor forever, and maybe someday you get your quality to the point where you are making $1 million per video and you do one awesome one a year and it's your creative masterpiece and it's only yours. Great.
That'd be great. Imagine.
But man,
That would be
I
awesome.
mean, good luck.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like, good luck making that. Like
Unrealistic.
you're going to be like the Kanye of videographers, like
gosh.
long shot, much better career path to like link with people who are also doing efficient work for clients that have good, efficient businesses and much more stable.
Dude,
much more
that's one of the things. It's like I don't think that anybody knows everything about this business.
Of course not.
About the art.
It's too vast. It's too many.
So much.
I don't think there's one person you can't learn from in videos and camera stuff in general. Like everybody I talk to has a slightly different setup for a slightly different purpose, slightly different style, and no one's right and no one's wrong.
Exactly.
Everybody that I know that we're connected with makes fire videos.
Yeah.
Like their clients are happy. They're making some of the coolest shit in Boston, in New England. All of us. Like if you're sitting at this table, you're one of the best, you know? And it's lack of ego, I think, like allows you to keep growing. Like again, looking back, like the growth, like you look back at your past videos from when you first started versus where you are now, it's only because you're striving to be at the level of those people who are better than you. And you're okay with striving to be that. But then you look back, it's like with Zach, same thing. Shout out HBZ. But like, it's crazy. Yeah. And he's never been happy once talking to me about his projects, bro. Like every time he's like,
I don't know if any creative ever is.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right.
I could be better.
And
this
for
could be
me,
better, right?
I'm looking at his stuff and I'm like, dude,
that's
I saw
fire.
what you made 6 years ago and I'm seeing what you did for Clark's last week. Wow. And it's like, dude, it's insane. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it's only because he's been watching guys like shout out Ben Mercedes, shout out like all these other big videographers who just make the cleanest stuff, always striving to be the best. So, but you can't have an ego and
you just got to be open to working with people.
Yeah.
Like yesterday's shoot, I couldn't do it alone. Like I needed like a small team and they helped me achieve what I really wanted to film. Yeah. You know?
So how do you guys work? I mean, have you ever worked with somebody that is just button heads with you and you just can't get through to them? And it's like, what do you do in a situation like that as a leader?
I feel like I haven't really had that experience. It's more of like, I feel like I've just kind of had like slight disagreements or I don't know. It's more of like, I usually do work alone. Yeah. But when I do work with another videographer, I think I try to be as respectful. Sometimes I don't know, like it's hard to, you can only take so much shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also my answer. Like we are as professional as we can possibly be with all of the people that we work with, whether it's other shooters or clients. And we have 99.999% of our client relations are great. But then there's that 1%, like, you know, one person every couple of years where we'll call them like a toxic client, where it's like what they want is intangible given the budget and the time and the resources that we're able to allocate for them based on the budget. Really all comes down to budget. You can call me every single day if you're paying me $1 million a day, you know, but like there comes a limit where the expectations completely outweigh the budget and the resources that we have to deal with that client. So that's like a toxic client. And eventually we just have to professionally part ways and just say, look, it's not a good fit. And it's just not a good fit at that point. And that's okay. And I always tell people, we'll be here for you too. Like, you know, maybe their business isn't at the point where they should have hired us. And it's like, it's not necessarily our job to tell them that, you know, if they come to us very clear-minded and say, I need a video, and we quote the video and, you know, they shouldn't have done that on their own. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have the money or it wasn't a good move on their part to do that. Despite the results, despite the quality of what we produced, they may not be happy. And we just have to say, look, maybe next time, you know, don't go with us. And it more happens with social media management clients too. It's rare, but it's the ongoing ones where they need more than what they're paying for. Yeah. And we just have to let them go.
Well, both. I think with clients and with, you know, other creatives, you have to really break it down and be like, hey, look, like we're both here doing a job. Like this is art, right? But at the end of the day, we're getting paid this as a job. And our number one goal is to get the best content for either the client or if it's the client we're talking about to reach your goal, right? And so, you know, like I've had situations where I'll specifically a wedding where me and the second shooter were just not jiving, and he was pretty new, you know, and I'm always open to like helping people however they need. I'm very patient with people when they shoot, but when somebody's not open to taking suggestions, it's very difficult to try to get the best quality possible as well as make the day smooth. And a wedding is already shit as it is, like in a good way, like, but it's just like you're just running around eating shit all day, and it's like you're running here, there, doing this. And then I think, you know, it's important to like pull them aside and be like, hey, look, like, you know, we're here to do a job for a client, and this is supposed to be one of the best days of their life, right? And it's like, we're focus on that. Don't focus on
anything else, literally.
Literally anything else. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
What are the most common hiccups? Because I haven't shot a wedding myself. But what happens? I think there's a reason I don't, and it's probably everything you're about to mention. But
weddings are a lot of fun. You know, like I talk a lot of bad game about them because they're just like a whole 8-hour day on your feet in dress shoes running around. It's a lot. And then when you have your rig on you, your gimbals, your tripods, if you're by yourself, it's a lot. Dealing with multiple angles. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that people don't realize. They think you can just show up and do it. Like, and the thing about weddings is crazy is that it's a one-take thing. Like with music videos, commercials, I mean, you know, God forbid this ever happens, but you forget to push record, like you can just redo it.
Yeah.
A wedding, you can't. You miss that moment, and you're screwed.
That's
so like
good.
that's
the number one thing. That's what I knew he was going to say that. Like just the one take thing gives me massive.
You got one
anxiety.
shot. That's it. And then the whole thing, if you're doing it one man band, like I did it for my first 2 years all myself till I started hiring contractors like you to help me. It's like I would do the audio, the videos, everything all together.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And then you sacrifice some quality, right? Because then if you have 3 people who can control what they're supposed to control, you make sure it's on point. Whereas if you're one person dealing with 3 different things, you could mess something up that you're not paying attention to. Right. You can miss something. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Weddings, they're fun. They're a lot of fun, but they do take up a lot of time between editing and shooting and all that.
Editing is got to just be insane. Because it's rare we have an 8-hour shoot for a client, and when we do, it's usually to gather like 12 months.
You got like at least 4 hours of footage, depending on how long the ceremony is.
Right.
So it takes a couple months. It takes some time, and then you have people in the queue, but it's worth it though. I mean, you see people. I mean, honestly, it's supposedly people's best day of their life, and for a lot of people, it is. You know, you have your bridezillas and you have your certain people, but. A lot of the time it's a great environment. It's a lot of fun. It's fast paced. You learn a lot, especially if you're doing it like early on in your career. You mess up, you figure out what you need to do and you do it better.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what it's all about.
I think it's a great way to learn. Like I almost wish I learned how to shoot doing weddings. I feel like it's like people say like, oh, I used to work in a restaurant, so I know how to work anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I can just handle it.
You throw yourself in, seriously.
Like weddings is probably the best way to like learn videography because it's like nothing could be more intense than a wedding, I bet.
It's so intense. And and that's the thing, you do your research. And then you go into it and you are prepared, because if you don't go in prepared, you're not going to succeed.
Execute. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, you know, we could touch on we touched on creatives, collaboratives, like how to work together, but who inspires you guys in the community? You don't have to name names, but as far as like mentorship and stuff, like, is that important to you guys? Like, what? Tell me about that.
I think mentorship is like really big. At least for me, like I have some people under my wing that I'm trying to like teach and, you know, tell them how to get certain angles, what to look for, how to edit. I think it's really important. I don't think I've told you this, but I think the youth is really important. Like I've actually spoken at 2 high schools, one last year and one, I think early January. And I don't know, I want to be able to inspire people to like, you know, sometimes you don't need that 9 to 5. Like you could actually achieve your dreams that you're trying to make, you know?
Was there any like local videographer when you first started that you saw do that? And you, at least it like paved the path in your mind that like, that's an option?
I didn't really have anyone actually like, growing up. I think getting into the, you know, creative space and going on YouTube and finding all these awesome YouTubers is very inspiring. Like it's inspired me, you know?
That was what inspired me the most about entrepreneurship in general, was like, as cheesy as it sounds, like Shark Tank. Honestly, Shark Tank, Instagram, seeing like what life could be if you just work hard enough.
Yeah.
And I was at a crossroads in college where it was like, I could have just gotten like, not there's anything wrong with having a normal job.
Yeah, you know,
right?
it's totally
it's
fine.
great. But for my mind, for my brain, it never was going to mesh well. And so I was like, I would have been a very underachieving employee.
Yeah.
But man, am I a hard worker when it's my own thing. You know, and that was just like the little split that I needed, like the fork in the road during senior year of college, where it was like my brain kind of made the decision for me of like, that's the only option, because I would have like just dwindled away for, you know, it just would have killed my motivation for life.
Yeah.
You know, the 9 to 5, it would have been like school felt all of my life, which is just debilitating.
Seriously.
Boring. Like just hate it.
It's like yeah, I know what you
entrepreneurship was just one big life project. And I was like, oh, I can get into that. Like I can spend 30 years building like my life project. And Namra was the first, you know, thank God for Sahil, came to me during senior year of school and was like, hey, I think we're going to post on Facebook for businesses. And I was like, actually, that kind of makes sense. And that's like where it all started. But there wasn't any other. There were marketing companies who were great, but they were doing like old school WordPress websites and like way overcharging people for SEO. And so that was the opportunity for us, was like, hey, why don't we take that budget that you're like, you don't really understand even what's happening on your website, or what's like, these business owners were paying thousands a month for like, if you asked them what they were paying for, they literally couldn't tell you.
Yeah, no,
they were
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I
like no
think
traffic.
it's helping
Right.
on Google.
Doesn't even work at the end of the day.
And so we were at least able to give them something tangible, a video, a graphic, pictures of their business for the money that they were paying us. And that, at least that was like enough of a spark where people were like, oh, okay, like there's value to content creation.
Yeah. Like I'm in a different mindset like these days. Like right now, like I have a meeting later on today with this restaurant to basically be their brand manager. And I have a whole package already written out and set, and we're having a meeting about that, which I'm excited.
Yeah, that looked good.
Nice.
I sent that to you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like the spot really needs it. And I mean, they used to have 3 businesses or 3 restaurants, but now it's just one. I'm like, what are they going to lose if they hire me, you know?
Yep. Awesome. Brand management, like how much? Like, are you doing logo and stuff too, or?
No, so the logo's already set there. I'm just trying to, I guess, change their overall colors, because they have 2 dark colors, and I just wanted something a bit more inviting.
Cool.
And I mean, I just wanted it to be like a fun and cool restaurant, because it's a really colorful spot.
Just change
really
the
cool.
vibe.
Yeah.
Nice.
And their
That's a cool
social media
project.
is very outdated. Like even from their main logo, it's just like too many words, and it's just the last picture they posted was 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like,
That's never a
that's
good
very
sign.
old,
Maybe
and you guys
something.
need to do something new.
Yeah. We always tell people at the very least, like the better than nothing package, like to hire us or do it yourself, is like just post something like once a month, or else people will think you're closed. Yeah. Like you can't not post on Facebook since 2016.
Especially as a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Seriously.
I mean. Like if you're a restaurant, or like, you have hours and you're like open every day and you need foot traffic, your last Facebook post needs to have been like a
yesterday.
week ago, or like, it should be yesterday, but like worst case scenario, couple weeks ago. It can't be 2016.
No.
People will literally think you're closed.
I mean, I thought they were closed.
There you go. Yeah. Not good. There's a lot of people out there who are just in the abyss.
Yeah.
People don't even know. They don't even, there's like pizza places that like I'll call locally and they have nothing on Google and it just says they're permanently closed and they're not. Yeah. And so you have to just go to the business owner and be like, hey, are you aware that like you could be losing half the calls? Like simple things like that people aren't aware of. So
people don't waste their time. They're not going to go drive and see if it's open or not. They're going to look on Google, and if it says it's closed, they're not going to waste their time.
Yeah, you go right to the next.
Not even going to call.
It's a split-second decision. You just go to the next one on DoorDash. Yeah. Like
that's true.
And if you know how to use the resources that people are using to find these businesses, you can optimize it, which is what you're here for.
Yeah.
You figure out what the secrets are, and then you apply them.
Not only do we flip the switch on, that's step one, like make sure you're present, but then it's like, how do we really dial it in so you're better than everybody else? And when they start to switch their stuff on, it has to be better. Like it just is toe to toe. Like content creation, the organic side of social media is a production race. It's like we were talking about it earlier too. Like how do I beat the client who, if hypothetically two people in the same industry hired us for videos, how does one beat the other? More videos. Like if all else being equal, right? Like their personalities being the same, connections being the same value, all else being equal, and the quality that we're producing being equal for each of them. The strategy is more content beats less content.
That's
right.
I mean, that's kind of a given. Yeah. And even advertising, like I think clients, I've realized I'm trying to have more meetings with business owners to be like, hey, you need to really advertise, like, you know, what I made you, or just advertise in general, because I've seen the difference. Yeah. Like I've seen a couple of businesses really do well because they advertise. They know, they understand social media and the importance of it.
Well, that's a good, okay. After you produce the video, what we help with is distribution of the content. Yeah. So there's content creation and then distribution. So how much do you help like them figure out, like, do you post it? Like, do you make some videos are for advertising purposes? Some
seems like it's just rebranding,
organic.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a mix.
Yeah.
I think one thing I really love that Instagram's been doing is you can do a collaborative post, which I love. Yeah. Because then your name's tied to it, you know?
Yep.
Hey, I made this for you guys, you know?
It's better than a tag too, because when you look at a video and you see who made it, you're like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. But then you see whoever you're following next to it and you're like, oh, like, it's a little bit cooler.
It's almost like a big shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no better like portfolio than the work that you like, just putting the work out, and like you're not going to get more referrals than just through people seeing the video that you made for a client, you know? Because even if you didn't tag it, they're going to ask like who made that video. If it's good enough, they're going to say who made that.
Yeah.
We haven't really posted like, now we're starting to do more like collaboration posts, like you said, but in the beginning it's all quality. It's like everybody found us just through saying, hey, who's doing your social media? Kind of seems like you've turned it up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Word of mouth and all that.
Literally. Like I've had like 3 clients like reach out just hitting me up like, hey, like, did you make this video for this client? I'm like, I did.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah, I can tell the style. And it's like, you know what I mean? You get that personal style and then you put it out there and people know the style and they know who it is that's making it.
Like people, I got recognized the other day just based off my logo. They're like, architect? That's my Instagram. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's me.
What is it? I'm following you now.
Architect.
It's ARC1TEK.
We got to get a little lower thirds right there.
Oh yeah.
Follow
me.
ARC1.
ARC1.
Chris, got you. Oh, I just followed you.
Yeah, I think
right back.
When it comes down to all that, and you know, like it sounds like you said, like at the end of the day, it's who offers the most value, and you can look at it as like a tangible thing. It's like, okay, whoever gives you the most amount of videos, because what we do for our clients is we'll create, like you say, if it's a long form content, we'll create the long form content. Yeah. But then we'll chop it down into, you know, from one video, you get 10 videos or 20 videos or however.
And teasers.
And so if you post that one 30, 40, 50-minute video, you know, it gets seen 50, 100, whatever times. Yeah. You post that 10 times shorter clips, like it's going to have so much more exposure all the way around.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't doing that. I don't see a lot of people doing that. We do that with all of our clients.
Yeah.
It's a great strategy.
But it's hard.
It is hard. It's time consuming. You're filming a little longer than sometimes expected.
Right.
You know,
I mean, in the editing, it requires more thought. Like the biggest competitive advantage we have and clients who hire us have is that we control every aspect of it. So it's not like your marketing guy is bringing in a random videographer who has his own style. It's like we're all part of the same team working for you, only with your goals as the client in mind. So everything from pre-production call all the way down to all the final little teaser posts that are going to go out on an Instagram story 3 months from now when the video is done is all managed by our team. So the cohesiveness and the planning it's more efficient. You can literally pay less, relatively speaking, than you would if you created all those pieces individually.
Yeah.
You know, because we did it all under our umbrella and we have the process in place. It's assembly line versus if you were to make your own car by hand and bought
imagine
each piece individually
Separate,
and then you built it all yourself. You could do it, but it's way faster to just like let Ford build your car.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're becoming. Those are the systems we're putting in place.
I've never thought about it like that. That's really cool.
We're getting there. It's getting very streamlined up in here.
That's it, baby. That's it, baby. Nice. I wanted to touch before we wrap up on something that you wanted to talk about, and I think it's a really great subject. We kind of touch on it a little bit, but I really want to get to know what your opinion is on seeking validation from other creatives. Do you think that that's valuable? Do you think it makes you successful if you have validation from other creatives? What's your take on that?
I think it's a really interesting conversation to have because sometimes I think when you're starting off, you do seek that validation. And then as time goes on, like a year goes by, 2, 3, 4, like right now I'm in my 5th year, I don't really look for it anymore. Like I think I'm the one that's basically being asked for validation. I'm not saying that's happened, but it's more of like I'm in my own lane, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's good. You got the confidence.
Yeah, like it took time, but it's not like something I seek anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I think only time can give you that. Time and experience working with enough. It's just once you've seen it all, you have all this confidence. Like now I know I can go into pretty much any shooting environment and get out with everything I need, client happy. But in the beginning, it was the most nerve-wracking thing in the world.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I agree.
What is your take on, what do you guys feel about that, or your take on it?
I don't know. I think like for me, I don't chase being better than anybody but who I was yesterday. And like, I try to focus on that in all assets of my life. And I feel like when people get so sidetracked on being better than the next person or seeing what they're posting on Instagram and just being like, it's all a facade. That's a lot of the stuff is fake, or not even fake, but it's just like not a pure representation of their life. So why am I going to try to be better than somebody or not somebody, but just an image, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just a perception. So I feel like, you know, you can chase who you were yesterday or who you want to be in 5, 10 years and go after that. But I don't know. I don't really think, like, I feel like that kills you. That kills your spirit if you're just like, oh, he's way better than me. They did this better than me.
Yeah, literally, because then you're always going to, compare yourself to others, and you're never going to look at your work and like, I made a masterpiece.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
There's a healthy level, like there's striving to be better is healthy when you're comparing yourself to other people. Like, oh, that was a cool move. I could learn to do that too.
Yeah.
That's a cool editing technique. I could learn to do that too. But letting it like dissolve your own self-worth because you're never going to be as good as like that guy you look up to is not healthy.
Yeah. It's like, are you ever going to be satisfied with the things you create?
Right. You have to have gratitude for your own work too.
And then it's like, what's even the point? Like, you're just a workhorse for other people's satisfaction or enjoyment. It's like, for what? Like, why would I even do it? That's why I'm out here doing this the way that I want to anyway, so I could have what I want, the happiness, the freedom, whatever.
I think we have a unique perspective being creators too on that, because we know what goes on in order to create the perfect Instagram, because half the time, like, that's what we're doing for the client.
We just pull back the curtain and we know what's behind it.
There's no like Instagram model or influencer or public speaker or artist in the world who like I look at their Instagram and go, oh wow, that was easy for them to make that Instagram look so good. Like, it doesn't matter if you're like a girl with 10,000 followers and you just post pictures on the beach. Like, there's probably lights and your boyfriend, and like it's an elaborate production even if it's low budget. Like, those influencers have planning and
they have teams.
The day goes around like, how are we going to get this shot? How are we going to, make it look like we had the best day ever? The stories are all put in place strategically to make it look like it was the best day.
Yeah.
And
yep, exactly. The
and
best
it's
day.
the same thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I think because we do that, it's like, it's easier for us to say like, okay, we probably shouldn't be comparing ourselves to everyone else's highlight reel. That's like the go-to kind of saying for social media is like, don't compare yourself to everybody else's highlight reel. Right. But it's like, that's what we do. So we know how it works.
Absolutely.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like that.
Nice.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, of course. Anything else you guys wanted to touch on while we had the time?
Yeah. I feel like I was rambling a bit.
No, I don't think so. I think we got some pretty good.
I think we did.
Here. You know, what do you guys think? You think it was pretty good? All right. So if people want to check you guys out, where can they see you? Instagram, websites, plug your stuff.
Yeah, Architect is my Instagram, and my website is going to be remade, but my old website's still the one I'm using at the moment. Oh, my bad. Am I too far away, by the way?
You're starting to get a little far, but you're good.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as Architect, ARC1TEK, and yeah, you could go on my website, check what I have. I'm going to be updating it very soon, so be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Going into the spring of 2022, what jobs are you looking for the most? Like if you were to tell people, contact me for this,
So I want to take a little break on like restaurant type stuff. I want to do more, I guess, brand story. Like I want to do more brand stories. Like I want to be able to tell a story of a business, not just do a commercial. I've been on that like wavelength lately.
Cool.
Yeah. More storytelling stuff.
Yeah, more storytelling stuff.
That's great.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Love it.
What about you, man? Where can the people find Namra?
I think you already know. If you're here, you already know.
That's it.
Namra Consulting, Marketing with Russ.
That's it, baby. Jmurray Visual. Jmurray.visual. That's me.
Killing it.
All right. Until next time, thanks for checking us out.
Thanks. Guys.
Peace.
Cheers.